Hi, I'm Peter McKee, co-founder and CEO of Aeqium, a total compensation management platform that we built to take the pain out of compensation planning. We all know comp planning is super important. The decisions that we make as part of it impact employee engagement, retention, and ultimately the bottom line. But because of that importance, the ways that we approach compensation planning have only gotten more complicated. Whether it's a sophisticated bonus or stock award calculation or entirely different comp structures across different departments, these really aren't simple processes. And unfortunately, the tools that we use to run them just haven't caught up with that complexity. Whether it be spreadsheets, which are ultimately the most common one, or dated software, pretty much everyone that we talk to is spending a lot more manual effort on these processes and not getting the data that they need in order to make the best decisions. That's why we built Aeqium, a platform that gives you the ability to analyze employee total compensation, plan for their adjustments, and then communicate those adjustments to all relevant stakeholders. And when we say analyze, we mean visualizations like this that help you understand how folks are actually paid across all the different ways that they're compensated, including base salary, variable compensation, and stock awards, and also whether or not that's right and consistent with your comp plan. When we say plan, we mean the ability to actually collect input on the adjustments for that compensation from your management stakeholders. And then importantly, a purpose-built collaboration tool that recognizes that comp planning is a super collaborative process and facilitates the conversations that lead to those decisions so that that information can be used later on. When we say communicate, we mean helping make sure that the managers who have to own those decisions fully understand them, and then also that they have the impact on the employees that you're seeking to get out of the compensation planning in the first place. Now, here's where Aeqium gets really unique. Most people think you either have to stay in spreadsheets and deal with the headache from those if you want to have total control over your compensation planning, or go to a piece of software that's going to take away that flexibility, even though it may get you out of doing some of the manual spreadsheet work. With Aeqium, you truly get the best of both worlds, the complete flexibility and control that comes with spreadsheets and the automated workflows and data-backed insights that come with software. And that perfect combination has given us the opportunity to serve a broad range of customers, from fast-growing startups, just a few hundred employees, to global enterprises with thousands of employees. The impact we're having on those organizations is real, from cutting in half the amount of time that managers are spending making decisions to virtually eliminating the types of errors and mistakes that come with more manual processes, all while enabling HR teams to be much more strategic by cutting down the amount of time that they're spending building the cycle and running its operations. We're proud of what we've been able to deliver with Aeqium, and I'm really excited to share more about it with you today.
Peter, welcome to the stage. Thank you for that presentation. Who are the teams that are getting the most benefit from the Aeqium, the platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we typically work with companies that are anywhere from a couple hundred employees to many thousands of employees. And they usually have, a process that involves at least a little bit of complexity, which is pretty common, I think, across the board from what we've seen. So a combination of things like being able to have some form of variable compensation that maybe has a formula to it, or recommendations around how we do merit-based increases, or even things like stock awards or long-term incentives, which can get pretty complicated. That element of complexity added into an element of collaboration. So there are multiple department heads participating in the process, perhaps managers across the business, and in some cases even interest in kind of adding more people to that process. All of those things kind of come together to create a situation where folks get a lot of value from Aeqium and really struggle to get the compensation planning done the way they want outside of the platform.
Got it. And what do the people who choose Aeqium like the most about the platform?
Yeah, alluded to it a bit at the end of the presentation, but I think one of the things that we learned quickly when getting into compensation planning and really just managing these workflows where HR teams are collaborating with their management stakeholders is that there's a lot of hesitance around using software due to concerns around flexibility. So what we found, due to kind of our understanding of that in the early days and where we focused on our product development, is that people are often choosing Aeqium because of the guarantee that we make to them up front that if you are able to do something in a spreadsheet you might be using for planning today, you will be able to do it in our platform as well. So it's not only super flexible, but also super configurable and has that kind of ease of use that the folks who are, familiar with spreadsheets are going to be able to get in and build the exact same functionality in our software as well.
Awesome. And what is your long-term vision for Aeqium?
Yeah, so before starting this company, I spent my career as an engineering manager, and comp planning was one of the more painful parts of the year, multiple times per year. And one of the reasons that it was, I think, so painful is because it fit the same kind of mold as a number of other processes that really involved the management team as a whole, as well as our partners in HR and finance collaborating to make these kinds of really important decisions for the business, but not having either the data that we needed to make those decisions or good tools in order to enable that collaboration. And so the reason that we picked this problem to solve is because, compensation was one of the most important ones among those processes and those types of problems. It's something that really has a big impact on our goals as managers of engaging and retaining our employees. But as we kind of expand and really nail that use case for the people who use our platform, we anticipate kind of growing into the other things in workforce planning that look really similar, where spreadsheets are being shared between management teams as well as their HR partners and finance partners, and ensuring that there's a good place to collaborate on all of those important decisions among your workforce.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. So let's hear from one of your customers, Peter. Kristen Schinnenberg, Director of Total Rewards at Front. Welcome, and thank you for being part of our event.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kristen, how has Aeqium impacted your work as a Total Rewards leader?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I kind of think about this in two primary buckets. The first one is the most obvious. So if you think about your annual merit or promotion cycle, here at Front, we run that cycle twice per year. And so all of the planning and effort that goes into that takes months. And so anything that we can do to really streamline the process will just enable us to have more time to dedicate to other important projects and programs that we want to implement at Front. And so when I joined Front, they were doing a lot of this process in spreadsheets, and I just absolutely refused. If anyone has ever gone through that process before using spreadsheets, you know how terrible it is in terms of managing different versions, quality control, people breaking formulas, just making sure that everything is all in the right place. It's super time consuming and error prone. So I was not interested in going back to that world. And the other big thing too is really having more of that visual. So whenever a manager is able to kind of make an adjustment to one of their employees' comp, they're able to see what is the before state when you look how they place in their range, and also be able to see the after. So a lot of that visual has helped our managers be a lot more confident and comfortable. The other big bucket with that really is just the day-to-day looking at compensation as we're hiring more, fortunately, but we're really able to go to a one-stop shop and kind of see how is the rest of the team comped? Are we having any concerns with any compression or internal equity issues? And really being able to just go to that one single source of truth, whereas before we would have to pull data from several different locations to get what we really needed.
Awesome. And how has Aeqium enabled collaboration with managers and other teams?
This is a huge one for us. Collaboration and transparency here at Front is really important to our culture. And so even just the point where we were looking for a solution to help us solve this problem, we also included some of those key stakeholders in the search process and actually had them, join some of the demos so that we could get their perspective as a manager, someone who doesn't do the comp thing every day, all day. And so really wanted to make sure that we were capturing their input in terms of how would they really be using the tool, what was important to them. Some of the most important features for us were being able to have the tracking of who is making updates to any of the processes. So if someone was adjusting someone's merit increase, who made the change, being able to add comments to document the context of why they made the recommendation or the change, and just being able to tag and at other people so that we could really keep all of the communication in one place. That was one that in the past, these types of conversations would happen in Slack, in email, and you would lose all of the context if you went to go review the process and what happened in the previous years. So for us, that was super important just to kind of have all of our documentation. And then really the other big thing I think about with this is having the compensation statements that we provide to managers. So when they go to have the conversations with their employees, they have a document that's easy for them to reference and really kind of walks them through in a really systematic way how to have that conversation with a visual and with a lot more ability to kind of track the conversation more easily and more comfortably. So conversations can be very uncomfortable for managers. So anything that we can provide to them to ease that conversation is really important to us.
Appreciate that. Kristen, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We appreciate you for being here today. And Peter, how can viewers get in touch with you and the Aeqium team?
Yeah, in addition to the channels I know you're providing to the audience, people can reach out to me here at Aeqium.com. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or reach out to me there. That's where I connect with a lot of folks in the HR world. And yeah, we'd be excited to chat.